Happy Monday. Um, we're at chapter 15 already, so we're halfway through. So, chapter 15, the chocolate room. An important room, this, cried Mr. Wonka, taking a bunch of keys from his pocket and slipping one into the keyhole of the door. This is the nerve centre of the whole factory, the heart of the whole business, and so beautiful. I insist upon my rooms being beautiful. I cannot abide ugliness in factories. In we go then, but do be careful, my dear children. Don't lose your heads, don't get overexcited, and keep very, very calm. Mr. Wonka opened the door. 5 children and 9 grown-ups pushed their ways in, and oh, what an amazing sight it was that now met their eyes. They were looking down upon a lovely valley. There were green meadows on either side of the valley, and along the bottom of it there flowed a great brown river. What is more than a tremendous waterfall halfway along the river, a steep cliff over which the water curled and rolled into a solid sheet, and then it went crashing down into a boiling, churning whirlpool of froth and spray. Below the waterfall, and this was the most beautiful, astonishing sight of all, a whole mass of enormous glass pipes were dangling down into the river from somewhere high up in the ceiling. They were really enormous, these pipes. There must have been a dozen of them at least, and they were sucking up the brownish muddy water from the river and carrying it away to goodness knows where. And because they were made of glass, you could see the liquid flowing and bubbling along inside them, and above the noise of the waterfall you could hear the never-ending sucking of the pipes as they did their work. Graceful trees and bushes were growing all along the riverbanks, weeping willows and alders and tall clumps of rhododendrons and their pink and red and mauve blossoms. In the meadows there were thousands and thousands of buttercups. There, cried Mr. Wonka, dancing up and down, pointing his gold-topped cane at the great brown river. It's all chocolate. Every drop of that river is melted hot chocolate of the finest quality, the very finest quality, he added. There's enough chocolate in there to fill every bathtub in the country, and all the swimming pools as well. Isn't it terrific? And all the and just look at my pipes. They suck up the chocolate and carry it away to all the other rooms of the factory where it's needed. Thousands of gallons an hour, my dear children. Thousands and thousands of gallons. The children and their parents were too flabbergasted to speak. They were staggered. They were dumbfounded. They were bewildered and dazzled. They were completely bowled over by the hugeness of the whole thing. They simply stood and stared. The waterfall is most important, Mr. Wonka went on. It mixes the chocolate, it churns it up, it pounds it and beats it, and it makes it light and frothy. No other factory in the world mixes its chocolate by waterfall. But that's the only way to do it properly, the only way, if you ask me. Do you like my trees, he said, pointing at them, and my lovely bushes? Don't you think they look pretty? I told you I hated ugliness, and of course they're all edible, all made of something different and delicious. Do you like my meadow? Do you like my grass and my buttercups? The grass you are standing on, my dear little ones, is made of a new kind of soft minty sugar that I've invented. I call it swudge. Try a blade, please do. Automatically, everybody bent down and picked up one blade of grass. Everybody except Augustus Gloop, who that is, who took a big handful. Violet Beauregard, before tasting her blade of grass, took out the piece of world record-breaking chewing gum out of her mouth and stuck it carefully behind her ear. Isn't it wonderful, whispered Charlie. Hasn't it got a wonderful taste, Grandpa? I could eat the whole field, said Grandpa Joe, grinning with delight. I could go around on all fours like a cow and eat every blade of grass in the field. Try a buttercup, said Mr. Wonka. They're even nicer. Suddenly the air was filled with screams of excitement. The scream came from Zabruka Salt. She was pointing frantically to the other side of the river. Look, look, look over there, she screamed. What is it? He's moving, he's walking. It's a little person. It's a little man down there by the waterfall. Everybody stopped picking their buttercups and stared across the river. She's right, Grandpa, cried Charlie. It is a little man. Can you see him? I see him, Charlie, said Grandpa Joe excitedly. And now everybody started shouting at once. There's 2 of them! Oh my gosh, there's more! So there's more. There's 2, there's 1, there's 3, 4, 5. Well, what are they doing? Where do they come from? Who are they? Children and parents alike rushed down to the edge of the river to get a closer look. Aren't they fantastic? They're no bigger than my knee. Look at that funny long hair. The tiny men, they were no larger than medium-sized dolls, had all stopped what they were doing, and now they were staring back across the river at the visitors. One of them pointed towards the children, and then he whispered something to the other 4, and all 5 of them burst into peals of laughter. But they can't be real people, Charlie said. Of course they're real people, said Mr. Wonka. They're Oompa Loompas. We'll do another one. Chapter 16, the Oompa Loompas. Oompa Loompas, everyone said at once. Oompa Loompas? Imported directly from Lumperland, said Mr. Wonka proudly. There's no such place, said Mrs. Salt. Excuse me, my dear lady, but Mr. Wonka, I'm a teacher of geography. There is no such place. Then you'll know all about it, said Mr. Wonka, and oh, what a terrible country it is. Nothing but thick jungles infested by the most dangerous beasts in the world. Hornswogglers and snoswaggles and these terrible, wicked wangdoodles. A wangdoodle would eat 10 Oompa Loompas for breakfast and come galloping back for a second helping. When I went out there, I found all these little Oompa Loompas living in tree houses. They had to live in tree houses to escape the wangdoodles and the hornswogglers and the snoswaggles and they were living on green caterpillars, and the caterpillars tasted very revolting. The Oompa Loompas spent every moment of their days climbing through the tree tops, looking for other things to mash up with the caterpillars to make them taste better. Red beetles, for instance, eucalyptus leaves, and the bark of the bong bong tree. All of them beastly, but not quite so beastly as the caterpillars. The poor little Oompa Loompas. The one food that they longed for more than any was the cacao bean, but they couldn't get it. An Oompa Loompa was lucky if he found 3 or 4 beans in a year. But oh, how they craved them. They used to dream about these beans all night. You only had to mention the word to the Oompa Loompas and they would start dribbling at the mouth. The bean, Mr. Wonka continued, grows on the tree, which happens to be the thing which all chocolate is made from. You cannot make chocolate without this bean. The bean is chocolate. I myself use billions of beans every week in this factory, and so, my dear children, as soon as I discovered that the Oompa Loompas were crazy about this particular food, I climbed up their tree houses, and I looked in and poked my head through the door of the treehouse belonging to the leader of the tribe. The poor little fellow, looking thin and stout, was sitting there trying to eat a bowl full of mashed up green caterpillars without being sick. And I said, "Look here." Obviously, I wasn't speaking in English, I was talking in Oompa Loompa-ish. "Look here, if you and your lovely people come back to my country and live in my factory, you can have all the beans you want. I've got mountains of them in my storehouses. You can have beans for every meal, and you can gorge yourself silly on them. I will even pay your wages in the beans if you wish." "You really mean it?" asked the Oompa Loompa leader, leaping up from his chair. "Of course I mean it," Mr. Wonka said. "And you can have chocolate as well. Chocolate tastes better even when it's mixed with milk and sugar." The little man gave a whoop of joy and threw his bowl of mashed caterpillars right out of the treehouse window. "It's a deal," he said. "Come on, let's go." So I shipped all of them over here, every man, woman and child in the Oompa Loompa tribe. It was so easy. I smuggled them over in large packing cases with holes in them, and they all got here safely. They are wonderful workers, and they all speak English now. They love dancing and music. They are always making up songs. I expect you should hear a good deal of them today. I must warn you, though, they are rather mischievous. They like jokes. They still wear the same kind of clothes they wore in the jungle. They insist upon it. The men, as you can see for yourselves across the river, wear only deer skins. The women wear leaves, and the children wear nothing at all. The women use fresh leaves every day. "Daddy!" shouted Veruca Salt, the girl who always got what she wanted. "Daddy, I want an Oompa Loompa, and I want you to get me an Oompa Loompa, and I want to take one away today." "Daddy, get me one, please." Now, my pet," her father said to her. "We mustn't interrupt Mr. Wonka." "But I want an Oompa Loompa," screamed Veruca. "All right, Veruca, all right, but I can't get it for you just this second. Please be patient. I'll see you'll have one before the day is out." "Augustus!" shouted Mrs. Gloop. "Augustus, sweetheart, I don't think you'd better be doing that." Augustus Gloop, as you might have guessed, had quietly sneaked down to the edge of the river, and now he was kneeling on the riverbank, scooping hot melted chocolate into his mouth as fast as he could.